Dear viewers and listeners, it is always a pleasure to interact with you. I hope you have enjoyed the posts that we have done before, and even more, that you will enjoy the topic at hand. I'm Dr. Duncan Elliot Tembo, and I'll be speaking to you on a topic that is titled, Most of the Good Things are a Product of Pressure. Most of the good things are a product of pressure. I would like to start off by stating that if there is anything that hates me, is to see, someone who is full of potential living a life that is below what they should be living. And against this background, I find a lot of pleasure to bring out these topics, to provoke somebody out there to realize who they are and what they carry inside them. As I discuss this topic, most of the good things are a product of pressure. I'll obviously make reference to various situations. If I start off with the Bible, I look to experiences of Joseph. I imagine that, Joseph is someone who was destined for greatness. God had placed great purpose upon his life. And when you look at that purpose, it was not just for his benefit. It was for the benefit of his family. It was for the benefit of his people. It was even for the benefit, of the countries that hosted him. I know that he was aware of this purpose, and even more that God kept on whispering to him. It's because of this that you will see that time and again he had dreams. And one thing that is evident is that whenever he brought out these dreams, they offended those who were around him. They looked like pride in their eyes, and they felt like pride in their ears. But you see, a diamond will not cease to be God. A diamond will not cease to be a diamond because people around cannot recognize it. Simply put, his calling could not change because the people around could not comprehend it. His abilities were not going to change in any way because they did not make sense to those that surrounded him. He was destined for greatness, and he was carrying greatness. You see, if you look at that story from the end, I mean, most of us would want to be in his position. It's so prestigious to be a prime minister. I mean, you have got so much control. You have got so much influence. There is quite a lot of good things that surrounds being in that position. But you see, when you rewind that story, obviously no one wants to fit in that space where they were dark hours. And this is what I come to talk to you about. That most of the good things are a product of pressure. Even when you look at natural things, I mean, for a plant to grow, it has to be buried, it has to endure the weight of the soil, it has to push out of that shell, it has to penetrate out of the ground. It's not an easy process. I'm tempted to think of a lot of other good things. Think about cooking oil. I believe it has lightened the burden of cooking. It adds flavor to the food. But when you look at how cooking oil is produced, you will realize that pressure has to be applied on soybeans, has to be applied perhaps on sunflower or whatever it is. And it is after the application of that pressure, that good things begin to squeeze out. If you look at diamond, so precious stones that everybody wants to have, if you ask me how they end up being that precious, it is because at some point, pressure, at some point, intense heat had to be applied, bringing the carbon atoms together to come and form that precious diamond. And I would want to look at life from that perspective, even as I speak to you. You see, we carry greatness inside us. No matter where you are starting from. Like I said, a diamond will not cease to be a diamond because people around cannot recognize it. When you were born with greatness. You carry seeds of greatness inside you. In your DNA. You are destined for greatness. But you see, a lot of times, the cost of that greatness is not small. I know that when you talk to most people who have been successful, when they tell you their stories, you will see that really they had their ups and downs. And there is a temptation many a time to choose an easier way, to avoid that path that is associated with great pressure. But you see, it is that pressure that refines us. You know, some will tell you, say, look, if it had not been of the pain that I experienced, probably I would not be who I am today. The pain changed the way I look at things. And when I yielded it to God, it actually became my source of strength. It increased my focus. It increased my resilience. It increased my determination. And ultimately, I broke through. You know, even some people who have made our paths very difficult, you will sometimes realize that, you know, they were very helpful to helping you become who you are destined to become. Going back to Joseph in the Bible, I mean, while it was not a good start, and under normal circumstances, you would not expect the brothers to put you in that situation. But I think whatever was happening was necessary. It was inevitable for him to become who he is supposed to become. I'm not in any way suggesting that bad things should come your way. But I'm suggesting that, look, if God has to take you through a certain path, however it looks like, however it feels, do not settle for an easier one. Because God is training you, God is preparing you for that greatness. For you to be successful, even if it's in school. You will not be successful by choosing an easier path. You will have to read. You will have to sacrifice some of your precious time that probably you should have been with the family, time that you are really entitled to, you know, in terms of playing and other things. You will have to convert the whole lot of that time, you know, in what you are pursuing. You will have to work hard for it. You will have to be ready for that process. Unfortunately, the process is not what many people want to go through. The process is what many people avoid. And they end up living below what they should be. You know, I find a lot of encouragement when I read the scripture in Isaiah which says, even when you pass through the deep waters, I will never allow you to be drowned. Even when you pass through the fires, even your hair will not be scorched. I am hoping that, you know, as we are going through refining to become what we are destined to become, you know, we will not despair. We will believe the God who is taking us through the process. The last thing you can do is to give up. The last thing you can do is to look back. The last thing you can do is to run away from that process and settle for what is simple. That is not what you are meant to be. If you were an eagle, I would say you are meant to soar up above the sky. And do not settle in the zone for chicken when you should be flying up above the sky. Forbid it that you settle for what is average. Forbid it that you settle just for what is good, because only the best is good enough for you. I refute to settle for what is average. I'm hoping you will look at things the same way. I am ready to go through the process. I hope you think the same way. For me, even when I go through the process, I know that my God will be with me. When God takes me to the edge of the cliff, either He will give me wings to fly, or He will take me in His hands. And I don't care where I'm starting from, but one thing that I know is that when God is on my side, there is nothing that I will fail to do. I am hoping that you have gotten something out of this, and that it should provoke you, to realize who you are, what you are destined to be, to help you understand some of the difficulties that you pass through, and that you will convert some of those problems into opportunities, and that when those problems come, they should open your eyes wide to be able to see the open doors that leads you where you should be. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And also take time to view the other videos that we have done. Share them. You never know who they may help. Like, and also subscribe. Thank you for listening, and God bless you.